from Jim's Coleus. How you doing? How's everyone going? Beautiful, beautiful, really beautiful day today here at the Jersey Shore at Jim's Coleus. It's about 62 degrees. There's a very, very light breeze. So this is the ideal time. This is the ideal conditions to safely harden the Coleus. So hardening Coleus, if you're not familiar with it, if you take a young Coleus, and now this is one that maybe you grew from inside your house or rooting, and you just put it outside, it's likely to die unless you're in the summer heat and so forth. But it's best to harden your Coleus, which hardening means you're slowly introducing the outdoor stresses, the stresses of the outside environment, the sun, wind, and so forth. It's a way to ensure that your Coleus can stand the stresses of being outside. You can't take a young Coleus and plant it right in the ground. It's going to die. And the temperatures have to be at least 60 or higher for you to safely put your Coleus out. If you put them out too soon, like my earlier video where it was in the 50s, it was a little chill in the air, the wind, it will damage your Coleus like this. This is my Lord Baltimore, and you could see how it's sickly. It's a little sickly. I had to cut a whole bunch of leaves. That shows there. You see a lot of the leaves. That's what you get when you put a overwintered Coleus out too soon, where it's a little too chilly. So I sort of use this as a test. Now, again, if you watch my previous video, I didn't kill this Coleus. She's still plenty strong. I just had some damage, so we're going to trim these leaves. So I sort of tested it, and it's still a little chilly, but today is beautiful. Again, it's going to be like 60, I believe they said around 67, which is going to be beautiful. And right now it's 62, it's sunny, and there's a light breeze, and that's ideal for hardening Coleus. So I'm going to bring this out here. We'll trim it a little more. I'm going to get rid of a lot of this dead leaves, and we'll be fine. I'm going to leave it out for about 2 hours. So as you can see, I have them out on my table. This is a good size to put out for hardening. Anything smaller than this here, it's still a little too tender. These are potted. I'm not really concerned about these, but this is a good size to put out to harden. And again, I have them in a slight, I have them in sun and shade, a nice mix of sun and shade. You don't want to put them out baking in sun. You can, but I would just recommend putting them out for about an hour. I'm going to keep these out about 2 hours, hour and a half. I'm going to check on them in an hour. If I see any leaves starting to really curl up, then I'll probably bring them in. But that's part of the hardening process. That's part of getting your plants used to being outdoors. And hardening is a gradual, something you do gradually over the course of a couple of weeks before you're ready to bring them outside. And I expect to bring all my Coleus out to my greenhouse in about 2 weeks. And here's another tray that I have in full sun. And we're going to keep these out, like I said, about 45 minutes to an hour. And I made sure they're all well watered. And we'll take a look at them when they're done. Now, because this tray is in full sun, I may have to re-water slightly all of these Coleus. Okay, in the meantime, I did a lot of potting the past couple of days. I have about 20 trays. Each tray holds about 17 pots. And overall, I have about 2 Coleus per pot. Some I have a single, as you can see here. But these are too, even this one here, these are too tender, too young to put out to overwinter. They still need some more growth. As you can see, I got trimming. I've done some trimming, but these are still too young to put outside. So again, I have about 600. And some peppers. They're doing real well. We'll put them out in the beginning, probably second week of May. I'm actually going to plant them outside, but they really like the heat. So we want to make sure that they're strong. And once the real heat arrives, then they'll really do well. And again, inside the indoor greenhouse, these are the young ones, and that'll be my next level. By the time I get these into pots, I'll be in my greenhouse. Almost 90% sure. If not, we still have some room here, but we'll get these out. And these are the younger ones. Look how beautiful the colors are on these. These are going to be some really beautiful, beautiful Coleus. Those are jitters. That's a jitters. See that kind of like long and slender, that long, slender slash of color up the center. That's how you can really tell a jitters, as opposed to this is a rose Kong. The outside pink there, although the inside is a little different. There's some red in there. This too is a rose Kong. And there's another Kong, a wizard Kong variety, or like an empire. It's hard to tell once they get a little older. But some beautiful, again, these are too small to go out to harden at this point. Here's a good example for a Coleus that needs water. It feels kind of light to me. We're going to dig down about an inch or so. See, that's still moist under there. See, that's you can still see some moisture. So it's still pretty good. We don't want to go crazy. It's still pretty good. We don't want to go crazy with these young Coleus. We don't want to oversaturate them. But when it starts pulling away, and it all depends on the pots too. These are nursery pots. It's a good sign that it's going to need water. This I just pulled off the rack. This was closer to the window, so they're going to dry out faster. So I'm going to rotate them, and you can see these are nice and dark from watering just 2 days ago. So I'm going to turn them. I'm going to put this in by the window. But again, these are still too young to go outside to harden. Another couple of weeks or so. In another couple of weeks, I'm hoping to bring everything out to the greenhouse. But even then, very careful. I'll keep the heater going. Once sunset kicks in, put the heater on, and we'll maintain the heat. And it should keep it in the 70s, low 70s, high 60s overnight, which is fine with me. Based on my experience of when I moved my Coleus out to the greenhouse before. As long as we don't go down into the 40s, we're fine. And some more beautiful color, more rose Kongs, some empires. Those are empires. They're like green, have some red and so forth. And these here are fairway mosaics. It's going to be really nice to see how these develop as they get older. Beautiful, beautiful color. And lastly, before I close out, one last thing I do to sort of slowly introduce them to hardening is I do like a quasi-hardening. I have the window open by my bay window. I don't have all of them, just have one open, a crack, and we're getting a nice breeze through here. It's not cold. Again, it's in the 60s. A little breeze coming through. Got the Coleus exposed to it. I just checked them. The leaves look fine. There's no danger. But this is another good way to slowly introduce your Coleus, getting them into the hardening, getting them used to being outdoors. So we're getting a little wind on here, getting a little bit of air, and the air, the oxygen pumping through here does wonders. It's such a beneficial thing. And again, for those of you, I had a follower email me or message me on Instagram that her Coleus weren't growing. Her seedlings, they germinated, they grew, and she's having the same problem I had earlier. And I told her, get them off the heat mat. She was overheating her Coleus. She was covering them up and putting them on heat mats, and it was just stalling your Coleus growth. So heating mats are only for getting your seeds started, getting them germinated. Once they're germinated, they're a couple of weeks, take them off the heat mats. But you need to keep them warm still. So if you're in an area you're afraid that you're going to lose your Coleus, make sure you keep them somewhere near a heat source, but you don't want to cook them with a heat mat. Okay, so I just brought them in, and just to let you, just to give you an idea, you can see they're a little stressed out here. Now we're going to see how that does. Now, am I worried? Did I kill the Coleus? No, it's stressing out the Coleus. It's getting it used to being outdoors. Worst case, and I'm gonna trim these anyway, but that's what you can expect. I had them out for about 2 hours. And again, it's all the undergrowth. It's coming in. Got a few leaves that just aren't cutting it. No worries. Let them sit, see how they do, come back. And again, at this point, we're not worried because we're going to trim a lot of these anyway. But again, it's important to don't rush. Harden your Coleus when temps are in the high 60s and it's not very windy. Definitely don't put them out on raw, overcast days, even if they're in the 60s. Excuse me. Overcast, raw days, it's just not a good thing. Okay, so I hope I explained hardening to you and give you a good guide on when it's safe to put them out. Again, it all depends on where you live. If you're in the Philippines or in Florida here in the States, and you're in an area that it's already pretty warm, I would still recommend you to harden them, put them out every day. And if they're in pots, put them out every day for a few hours. Sun, shade, get them used to it. You're going to put them, some varieties can handle full sun. Not all varieties. The smaller trailing varieties, the varieties with the little delicate leaves, those generally don't do well in full sun. Bigger leaf Coleus like Kongs do great in full sun. You just have to water them more. Also, it depends on your pot. If you're in flower beds, they'll retain a little more water. You don't have to water them as much. But in pots and you're in full sun, you'll know. If you've been following me for years, you'll know my big planters. I have to water at least twice a day because they'll start to wilt. And I'll give them water, they'll come right back. So they'll be fine. Also, another note, if you're going to plant your Coleus directly into the earth, you can do it. Let them get, this size. Also, big big no-no. Do not use cedar mulch around your Coleus. Cedar mulch is poisonous to Coleus, so don't use it. I know some people like it. I love it. Smells great, good for pests and so forth, but it's a disaster for Coleus, so don't use it. So you can use insect spray soap if you think if you're pest problems. Pest problems are just inherent from being outdoors, especially if you're going to plant them directly in the ground. Slugs, all that kind of thing. There's so many different things you can do. I like the insect spray soap for insects. So, but we're talking later on, and we'll do plenty of videos on that. So, all right. Any questions about hardening? Feel free to leave a comment, or again, subscribe to my Instagram channel. It's the best way to get in touch with me, and Facebook as well. Have a good day. Enjoy the weather. If you're in New Jersey, especially. All right, take care, everyone. See you next week. Thanks for watching Jim's Holiest Coleus.